there are three types of people to receive information from. The first type are those who have been there and done that, they're successful. Do what they say and follow it. The second type, they've been there, done that, and they failed. Listen to them too, they still have value. Then there's the third type that have not tried it, not done it. Be kind, but ignore what they say. They ain't been there, they ain't paid the cost. So make sure you know who to listen to, and you'll be successful, not just in the new year, but for the rest of your life.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Dr. James Show. I am Dr. James Smith Jr., and as usual, I'm ecstatic to be here with you today. The guest we have is off the chart. His name is Vincent Phipps. Vincent is a certified speaking professional, and you should know that only 10 to 12% of the speakers in the country have that designation. He's the owner of Communication VIP Training and Coaching. He's the author of Amplify, Influence, and Impact. And before we bring him out here to impact you, let's take a look at Mr. Phipps, the Mr. Phipps in action. Check this out.
Leadership, understand that every leader has levels that take them from average to awesome. We all have these three levels. The first of those levels is leaders need to be passionate. You got to care about what you do. The second element is that leaders should learn how to be polite. You should be kind. Don't use your intelligence or your skills to hurt people. Don't push people down, lift them up. Third thing leaders should also be able to do is to be professional. Can you keep your cool when people around you lose theirs?
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. Welcome to the Dr. James Show, Mr. Vincent Phipps. What's up, my brother?
Oh, Dr. James, always an honor and a privilege to be with you, sir. Thank you for the time to have me as a guest. I saw the plethora of superstars that you've already interviewed, so I'm honored to just be in the conversation of your greatness. Thank you.
Oh, okay. The check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. You say you bring the impact, I bring the gym pack, but either way, we are lighting up the room. Tell me about how you got started in this professional speaking journey.
I had to almost lose my life, Dr. James, to get started. Back in 2007, I was already a leadership coach for another company, and I've been there for 13 years. I ended up having an accident that resulted in breaking my neck in 2 places. And I was having to go through several surgeries, couldn't walk, couldn't move, and it was just laborious. And during that time frame, I was inundated with cards and letters from kind people from years back. Some of them I didn't even remember about. You helped me get this interview. I saw you speak at this session. You worked with my son in one of your classes. And they were just all these tidbits of appreciation. And my girlfriend then, wife now of 19 years, she had ended up putting up all of these on the fireplace and the mantle. And when my father came over, he said, you know, son, these could be some people you should reach out to if you ever want to start your own business. And I said, Dad, I don't want my have a neck brace on. Dad, I don't want my and my fear, Dr. James, was I don't know how to be a salesperson. How to run a business? Is this for me? And I said to my dad, I don't know if I can find clients. And my wife was at the wall and she goes, they're your clients.
That's good.
And we are going on our 13th year.
Tell me about this 13-year journey. The most exciting time or the time where you may have thought, did I do the right thing? Do you have any of those episodes or experiences where, again, high, and perhaps low?
Let's start with the low. The low came when I had decided to step out on my own, but I didn't do all the preparation that I needed to. And it caused some financial concerns in the business.
Some financial concerns. I like that. Financial concerns.
My wife is my road dog. She is down with the brown. And she said, honey, I believe in you. Light bill, water bill, gas, I believe in you. And it was spaghetti night, many nights in the Phipps house.
I love it.
Believed in me. And she trusted me. And it got to a point where we had some tough nights. And all I can say is, baby, here's my plan. There's a means to end. And she supported me. And she was there for me. And that was a very rough time because you question your marriage. You question your own decision-making. You question your own skill. At least I did. And I'm thinking, who's going to pay me the money I'm asking for? I haven't dug myself out of a ditch. I didn't jump out of a plane, having to save a child from a burning building.
Sure.
Who cares about my little story? And that was a very tough time where I had smart people like you, Dr. James. Help me out. It was the CSP Summit. You were one of the speakers. And this was before I was on main stage at Influence. And I gave you my spiel of, I'm considering going a different direction. And you asked me about 3 or 4 questions. And the insight you gave me made me persevere. And it was such the right decision. But that was a high, and that was a low then, but it's a high now.
I love it. You mentioned your wife several times. We have a picture of your wife, you and your wife together, and I want you to talk more about what she's done, the role she's played.
Now, let me get it right. I said 19 years. I the first 4 that we were dating, she only counts the last 15. So I know the number. I'm just being accurate, my love. Hey, Dr. James, let me tell you about the importance of, I can only talk about my wife, Dr. James.
Okay.
Let me tell you about the importance of how you need someone in your corner that is not always a cheerleader, but someone who is a grounder. My wife is not going to be the high five, everything you do is great kind of wife. She's more of a realistic, what's your plan? What are you doing? Let me give you an example of how I learned the value of someone who is on the other side of everything you do is great. I received the Small Business of the Year nominee for the 2nd time in 3 years, Dr. James.
Wow.
We had 1,000 people in the room and people who I didn't even know coming up to me, congratulations, well done, got your business. The only Black man in the history of Chattanooga to have his own communication training company and the first and only CSP in the entire history of the city. I'm feeling pretty good, Dr. James. Here I lean over to my wife and I whisper to her, baby, am I a genius?
Oh, no.
Dr. James, my wife goes just like this. No. Deflating me. I was angry, bitter, humiliated, but nobody heard it. I was salty the whole way home, and my wife said, what's wrong? And I said, you called me stupid. So we go through this whole scenario where she goes, Oh, you mean when I said you were a genius? I said, baby, I worked so hard. How can I do all this if I wasn't a genius? And she said, a genius can get something right the first time and they can understand it. She said, I've seen you read the same book 5 times. I've seen you get told no 10 times in a row. She said, I've seen you get knocked down so many times. She said, baby, you're not a genius. What makes you special is you're the hardest work I've ever seen, and you never quit. That's what makes you special.
Wow.
That's love.
That's love. That's love.
So yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got a ton of questions to ask you. There's not enough time to ask them, but I'm gonna get in as many as I can. One of my favorite quotes is that it's not that we aim high and miss. We aim low and hit it. What are your thoughts about people, their aim, their drive, their goals and dreams? Any thoughts about that?
Too many times we assume that accomplishment is the same as fulfillment. If we are paying the bills, if we are hungry, if we have a weekend vacation, we count that as successful because we are the recipients of something that others see as good. The problem with that is we're not setting our own course. We're not charting our own path. If someone gives you a sandwich, you go, wow, I got a sandwich. What you really want is a steak. And when you settle for what you have instead of planning your chart for where you want to be. And people need to look at more, what goals can I set for myself? And we're so afraid of failing that we don't plan big enough. So when we receive something mediocrity, we think that's satisfactory. What we need to start doing is don't settle for small victories. Be okay with failing on the big victories, because even if you set a little bit under, you still accomplish more what someone else gave you. Shoot your stars higher. That's our problem. We don't dream big enough.
I love it. Prior to your accident, were you dreaming big enough? Did you see yourself on stage?
No, I didn't. I wasn't single. I had a girlfriend. I had a daughter. My bills were paid. I worked out sales. I had a job that I enjoyed. I had my home. I was brothers in the mid-20s, mid-30s. Hey, Dr. J. I was good. And other people saw you can do so much more. But my fear is, hey, why? It's almost like that scene in Castaway with Tom Hanks, where he's on that island. Like, look, you're safe. You've been here for years. You got food. Why would you want to leave this place?
Wow.
And sometimes, you know, we can look at the racial implications of how we were treated back in the day, where we were taken from a homeland and then we were brought to a location. And why leave this place? It's dangerous out there. And I needed to realize that as comfortable and as safe as this was, I was not dreaming big enough, because I wasn't impacting enough people who also had the same mentality as myself. And I was being selfish because I was okay, but there were other people who saw something in me that I could make a positive impact on others, so I was not dreaming big enough. And thank goodness I had pushers around me that made me realize that you can do more. And that's when I started to realize that being comfortable is an injustice if you have the potential to do more.
I'm getting fired up. Woo. You talk about impacting a lot of people. You have. And for the folks who are watching and listening, take a listen, take a look at what some of the people have said when they have spent time with Mr. Vincent Phipps. Let's take a look and a listen.
I enjoyed where you kept all the focus on everything, and you didn't stop.
I can't say a favorite. It was just good all the way around.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was interesting, and it held it, and it was really good.
I love your stories. Thought they were great. Your energy was great. Just overall, you always do a terrific job.
The first time that I heard Vincent, I was wanting to know more about leadership and inspiration. Well, he gave me much more than that. He's a really successful man. we wanted him to speak at one of our conferences, and he did such a wonderful job. We wanted him to speak at HMB Brothers annual meeting, and everyone loved it. He was a true success and leader.
You lit up that room. Oh, when you see that and see the reactions that people have after having spent time with you and hearing your gems and your pearls, what do you think? What do you see?
It's always an honor when you can have a positive impact on other people. I was so fortunate to have great family, great friends, great leaders, great sponsors, great mentors like yourself that were able to be honest with you and authentic. So it's fulfilling whenever you can just think of what ways can I motivate people? What stories can I share? What analogies can I incorporate into my messages? So whether you're talking to human resource professionals or entrepreneurs or those in information technology, we all want to be respected. We all want to be better, and we all want to be valued. So anytime anybody, Trent, comes up to me after, you know how it is, Dr. James, after it's over, hey, they're checking their phone, they're walking up the door, they're on the way out. So when people stand in line after it's over just to say something kind, that is one of the most fulfilling dynamics of being a speaker is when someone takes the time just to say thank you. And I don't care if it's 25, 35 people, I will sit there and I'll shake hands, I'll take pictures, because when they take that time, it's their way of saying, you made a difference in me. And that's the motivation of give back, because you never know who you'll be able to resonate with. So always take that time, because their time is their appreciation back to me.
I love it. I love it. I call it creating a first-class experience. Now, when people fly coach, they can't wait to get off. When people fly first class,
taking their time.
They taking their time. They don't want to get off. They want another. So when you create those first class experiences, people don't want to leave, and obviously that's what you're doing. We have a question from the audience. It says, what were the keys to your comeback? What were the keys to your comeback based upon experiencing a major accident? And how would you advise people overall on conquering adversity? Let me read it again. What were the keys to your comeback based upon experience that major setback, that accident? And how would you advise people overall on conquering adversity? Seemingly, many of us live in adversity every single day, or at least that's our perception of what's going on. What are your thoughts relative to that question?
There's two questions, and thanks for asking them both. The first question is, the key to my comeback was to, and write this down. If you're listening right now, write this down. Do it ugly. Do it ugly. I was so focused, Dr. James, I got to get the right suit. I got to get the right message. I got to get the right voicemail. I got to get the right letterhead. I got to get the right site. And it was just too much. Just start. Do it ugly. Don't work. Now, of course, you want to transition to excellence, but don't worry about it. Someone once asked me if people waited to have kids until they had enough money, the population would be gone.
True. That's true.
About trying to find the right time, starting out in small steps. That was my key to a comeback, was to just make sure that I was able to just get started. What I would recommend for those who are wanting to find their passion and to find their focus, and this is the harder part, you have to be authentic about who you truly are. There's so, you know this, Dr. James, there's so many people that try to model their speaking style or model their business after someone else that they see as successful. But what they're missing is the person they are emulating is truly who they are. So when you try to fake it, it won't always fit for you. My grandfather was not as educated as many of us had the fortune of being. So he always saw knowledge and reading and being smart as the element that would make all of his grandkids special. And he always saw sports and laughing and joking as a secondary element that he said, you can be more than that. So I never wanted to be seen as the funny guy or the authentic guy or the entertaining guy. So I wanted to be the academic. I got degrees and certifications and wrote books. And I always wanted people to introduce me as intelligent, smart, but that's not what they saw. They saw funny, they saw a little goofy, they saw quirky. And I was thinking, my grandfather would be insulted. My grandmother just said, your grandfather wanted you to be the best of who you are. Who was smart and goofy and funny?
That's so real. As you know, I've done a lot of research on authenticity. It's powerful. Powerful. Authenticity, folks. Authenticity. Many of us fake it till we make it, or we go along to get along. Be who you are, the best version of who you are.
Judge how well a cheetah runs if you throw it in the sea.
That's good. That's good. I had to stay with you now, because you're way up there. I love it. I love it. Question for you: how does our interpersonal communication skills impact our relationships and our revenue?
Woo! Man, people in crisis. Here's what people need to understand about the importance of people skills. And COVID taught us this. We talked about transition taught us this. We talked about people who want to find those side hustles taught us this. If you go to restaurants now or to any type of customer service, something's missing. There's a gap that's missing. If you are unable to have patience and listening skills and being able to articulate how you view the world, if you can't correct someone with kindness and with clarity, I don't care how many degrees you have, how smart you are, or who you know, you're limited. Because technology, PowerPoint, email, voicemail, Snapchat, social media, it will not replace your ability to have a conversation, to engage, to lead other people. So when you start losing money, who have you listened to? Not talk to, who have you listened to? When your team or your family starts to leave you, don't shout louder, listen more. Because if you are missing those people skills, Dr. James, your money will go away, your fans will go away. But when you have people skills, people will come towards you for advice. They will find ways to give you money if they know you have a good heart and your people skills are strong. Nobody wants to be around an intelligent jerk.
I love that you call them people skills, because my skin cringes when people call them soft skills. Dealing with people is not soft. So when you said people skills or power skills, like you said, they're the key to relationships, and relationships drive money, drive future, drive dreams. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have the relationships that we currently have.
Absolutely. I have a client, Dr. James, that's booked me for 7 times for the same keynote, 7 years in a row. And I always send him a video message. I sent you one. I always send the video message of, hey, happy birthday, how's Judy? And I send that message. And he will reply back. He gets the Facebook messages and he says, I'm the only one that does a video message. When it came time to select their next speaker, some of the speakers were mentioning speakers that weren't me, which and it mixed it up. The person on the panel, just by chance, had a video message that I sent to them. They said, hey, I want to know too. Well, who's that guy? Well, let's bring him in. He said, and it was that one thing of being kind, being authentic, got me an A engagement, not because I had a great website or because I had degrees. I took the time to be human, to be personable, and it does make a difference. I can measure that it makes a monetary difference.
Why is now so important to have those phenomenal people skills? I know, of course, during the pandemic, it seemed like there's so much strife and anger. We haven't healed as a country. Why now is it so important for us to be that people-centric, people-focused, responsible, emotionally intelligent person?
Here's why, Dr. James. Our technology has brought our cultures closer together, but our inability to leverage that technology with people skills has made us interpersonally further apart. So what ends up happening is we have Gen Z, we have boomers, we have millennials, and we have my generation, our generation, the best one, Gen X. And Michael Jackson, and I'm sorry, you weren't raised right. So if in that generation, here you have 20-year-olds and 70-year-olds working together. And if you don't have those, if our senior citizens or those Gen Xers and those boomers don't have the people skills to adapt, they will never be relevant to those managers who are in their 20s and 30s. And if you have those millennials and those Gen Zs, if they don't understand the importance of here's why a person who is in their 40s, in their 50s, here's why they don't take a day off every week. Here's why they will ask you, hey, can we have a conversation in person instead of a Snapchat? If they don't understand that dynamic, they'll see them as missing out on technology. If we don't understand how to leverage technology and how to leverage all of the idiosyncrasies of our generations, we're not going to connect with each other. And we have more to gain together than we have from separating ourselves. So people skills is the link that puts us all together to bring it all home.
Bringing it all home, bringing it home. Vincent, I had the honor and privilege of watching you on main stage at Influence. For those of you who don't know, Influence is when all the speakers from all over the world come to the National Speakers Association conference, like I said, which is called Influence. We're there, general sessions, we're there, concurrent sessions. But to get on main stage is a very coveted honor. And you had an opportunity last year to welcome people to Tennessee, your home.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look at the beginning of that presentation, Influence 2022, Vincent Phipps. Let's take a look.
Hello, NSA. It is my honor and privilege as a native Tennessean to share with you three dynamics that we're going to call acknowledgments of the land. This all encapsulates three entities that all impact our history here in Tennessee, but also dynamics we're going to incorporate while here at Influence. Number one is to respect the culture of those who came before us that allow us all to be here together. Number two is to respect the spirit of volunteering, giving to a cause bigger than ourselves. And number three is to respect the process to allow your greatness to come to you. The first acknowledgement in respecting the culture. In the year 1831, there was a forced migration of Native Americans all the way to the state of Oklahoma that led to 4,000 of Native Americans from this very state being forced out of their homeland. Now, that incident was called the Trail of Tears. What people do not know is that the Trail of Tears started in my home city in Chattanooga, Tennessee, only about 100 miles from where we sit and stand right now.
How did that feel? How did that? Woo! You should have heard me in the stand in the crowd. I'm like, Vin, VIP.
That was an absolute honor to be the opening speaker at the world's largest conference for professional speakers. First, it was terrifying. Oh my gosh. It was terrible. I mean, you're looking at the world's best speakers looking at you like, don't screw up, don't screw up. It was an honor. I had the pleasure of having Lenora Billings-Harris, who had recommended me. And it was one of those moments where I didn't know what to do. So I came up with these ideas. And the committee really was supportive. And I wanted to make sure that we addressed really two things, Dr. James. I wanted to really make everyone feel welcome, because that was really, I'm not gonna say the first one after COVID, but that was the first one where I think the attendance got back to where it used to be. Second thing, I wanted to make sure that we blended Tennessee and history to make sure that we're not forgetting about that there are several things in our country right now that need to be improved. There's several things within our organization that we can all do to make everyone feel welcome. So those dynamics, including I've talked about Jack Daniels, and I've talked about the truth about how you got their formula, and I've talked about the why Tennessee is called the volunteer state, and that we should all volunteer as members of influence. So we did all those things, and it was such an honor that Lenora and the committee said that they were going to use that model for future cities for how to open an NSA conference. So I was just like, don't screw up. So to know that that model was appreciated, and I think that was my first time being on main stage to get a standing ovation from the world's best speakers. And I saw you, Dr. James, and then I saw Anton Dunn, then I saw John Register. Like, it was just an absolute honor just to be asked. It was an honor, and I'm so grateful that people appreciated it because I was terrified. I worked very hard, and I'm so appreciative that everyone found value in the message.
Although you were terrified, you continued to plow through when you dropped this gem on us, when you said, "We are one." Let's take a look.
Regardless of your ideologies about those historical atrocities of the past, we've got to understand that today we are a new NSA, where regardless of your skin color, your creed, your heritage, your gender, your sexuality, or your socioeconomic background, we are one family here in Tennessee as one NSA. Number two is to have the spirit of volunteering. Just like the spirit of Cabot back in 1973, our founder of the NSA wanted us all to be better by working collectively. The state of Tennessee has a nickname. And what is that nickname? The Volunteer State.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm sitting there watching you like, go ahead. Go ahead, boy. Go ahead. You getting it in. You getting it in. Hometown, home crowd advantage. You getting it in. And like you said, the best of the best of the best speakers were in that room. And you know, they're listening, but they're critiquing, and they're probably thinking, I'm stealing that, I'm stealing that, I'm stealing that. So you did a phenomenal job, which leads us to the next question that's out there. What are your 3 keys to a penetrating keynote and message? What are your 3 keys? What goes into your special sauce, your magic formula when you're developing your keynote and the message you're going to share with the audience?
Thank you for asking. This question I have the answer to because this is part of what we call our VIP process. And by the way, the VIP, that's what we teach in very impactful presentations. And the VIP, they're also my initials.
That's one of those hashtag duh.
You want to do 3 things, and not just in every keynote, but in every interview, in every sales call, in every coaching session, in every interactive workshop, all the things that I want to incorporate in all of our services. I recommend doing these 3 things in every endeavor. It's VIP. The V is to be vivacious. You don't have to have the energy of a Dr. James, or you don't have to have the energy of a Dr. Jolly. You may not have the technological impact of a Crystal Washington, or you may not have had the success story of a John Register. But vivacious in your own right is, what are you enthusiastic about? What do you find value in? That needs to come across. I'm talking about my wife, my family, my team, because that means something to me. The second thing is, you got to be innovative. You got to listen to your customers. Find out where their problems are. Don't just give them statistics on the problems. They can Google that. You be the person that is innovative enough to find solutions for their problems, and they will not only pay you to come speak, they will bring you back repetitiously because you are not a problem finder, you're a problem fixer. The third thing you want to do is to be professional. Now, this is hard. This is about, do you return phone calls on time? Are you showing up for the meeting prepared? Do you have an agenda of what is going to be covered? As you notice in the beginning of that keynote, I mentioned, here are the 3 things. When I do my coaching sessions, here are our 2 goals. When I do a workshop, here are the 4 things we'll cover. I do that, 1, because I'll forget. If I don't say it, I'll mess up. And when you are a professional, your audience follows along with you. They know where you're going, and they know where you are to end up. So as long as you are vivacious, innovative, and professional, you will always bring value to other people.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to add a nugget to what you just said.
Sure.
For how you just modeled it. When you said 1, when you said 2, when you say 3, when you're making presentations for numbers 5 and less, you use your fingers to anchor your points. Most people will say, 1 thing I want you to remember, there's 2 things. No. And you modeled it beautifully just then.
Thank you, sir.
I love it. I love it. Question for you.
And this is fantastic, by the way. I'm loving it for the show. Oh, James, I'm having a time of my life, brother. Go ahead.
It's part of my research. What are the top 2 communication skills that you feel are the most important for our personal and professional success? The top 2 communication skills that you feel are the most important for our personal and professional success.
The first would be emotional listening.
Say more about that.
In my book, Lead Out Loud, I talk about 4 types of leadership and listening styles. And I call it the lead technique: laid back, energetic, analytical, and dominant people. For example, when you talk about someone who may be a laid back style, you want to slow down, ask them more questions. If they are dynamic, speed it up and just ask yes/no questions. If they're analytical, don't just ask questions, bring charts, graphs, data. The more you can adapt your approach, that's what we need to use to resonate. The old golden rule, as to treat other people where you want to be treated, that makes a lot of sense at a spiritual foundation. I'm wanting you to know that one of the most important things that we can do is to learn to adapt and to treat people the way that they want to be treated. That's number 1. Number 2 is to make sure that you speak in solutions. You want to make sure you can say, you ask questions and don't just reverberate the problems. Don't just rehash old problems. It's like going to a mechanic. Well, your transmission's busted. I don't know what fix it. Well, I know what it is. The carburetor, transmission, fix it. We need to be problem solvers. I am so sick of Gen Zs and millennials just saying. Okay, well, fix it. So what we need to be the type of professionals, whether you're an author, a coach, a keynote speaker, don't just get up on stage and waste people's time about regurgitating problems. We need to be in a time of solutions, be problem solvers. So if you can adapt how you listen and then provide solutions to that industry, you're not only bringing value, you're bringing validity.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that last part, you said providing solutions. I'm going to put a picture on the screen. I think you know this young lady very, very well. I want you to tell me about some of the solutions you provided for your daughter. Let's take a look at this picture.
Look at my
baby. What have you poured into her relative to solution and living your life out loud and dreaming big?
My daughter was a Division I athlete. They won the national championship in soccer when she was only 18. She had a scholarship or an internship with NASA. And that picture on the left, that's her office as a Division I soccer coach. And now she is specializing in mental health after getting her degree from Penn State. Oh.
We are.
It's been hard, Dr. James, because I made a lot of mistakes as a dad. I wanted my daughter to be a speaker. I wanted my daughter to go into an area that I thought was best for her. Penn State was not my first choice for her because she had scholarship offers for other places. And I said, baby, go wherever they pay for it. And what ends up happening is the best advice I think I've given my daughter, and she may be the one to answer this question. We texted yesterday, we're about to start a business together. One of the techniques I think work best with my daughter is really to do a combination of two things. The first is be okay with being wrong. I was so adamant about, baby, I'm older than you. I've been through more problems than you. I fought harder than you. I have this life that you have this life because I made these sacrifices, but that doesn't mean everything I did was right. So when talking to your children, be okay with being wrong because they have access to information much faster than we may be used to. So be okay with being wrong. The second thing is nurture them not towards their skills. You ready for this, Dr. James? Nurture them not towards their skill, but towards their passion. My daughter is smart. She can research and she's great in front of people. So I'm thinking, speaker, you have skills. It's like Dr. James, if you have a child who is 6'10" and agile, you're thinking, you can dunk this ball. You better get paid, baby. Can't nobody stop you, baby. Crossover, dribble. But hey, we got, I think I want to be an engineer. Like, why? You have these skills, but the passion is more important than skill because skills can erode, but passion escalates. So what ends up happening is you have to make sure that your children realize that whenever they look painting, drawing, skiing, that we show appreciation in what they love so they live their own life instead of trying to live through our own eyes and live the life that we want for ourselves or for them, support them on their path, even if it's a path you wouldn't have picked for them.
Good. As you're talking, I'm thinking about what I've told my daughter and what I have not told my daughter. And I hear you saying what you wanted. That was the same thing I wanted. I wanted a speaker. Because you and I have so much in common. And I'm hearing your train of thinking and your experiences. Tell us, because as they say in life, the number one fear for adults is public speaking. Number two is death. Tell us about your most challenging audience or your perception of that audience being challenging. You did your research, you heard about the audience, you heard about the group, you knew about the magnitude of the presentation. Have you had that experience where you had a really, really not tough, but perceived tough audience who may have turned into a tough audience? How have you handled, or how did you handle that situation?
Well, I didn't have a perceived audience. They really didn't like the brother. There was no, I kind of read this the wrong way. It was not mutual. hey, Dr. Jenner, I asked Dr. Jenner, and she said, I ain't hungry. I got it. I had to do a presentation for a group of meeting planners. And they did not want an upbeat, interactive type of presentation. They wanted it videotaped. They gave me a podium. The AD put a big X on the floor and said, you're videotaping this, stay in this spot. Sometimes my voice goes up and down, having a lapel mic, and they said, your volume's peaking. Can you be still, stay in this podium, and don't move, and lower your volume? Now, Dr. James, this was the audience that did not, my speaking style was not what they were expecting. And I did not adapt as they asked me to. I did not properly adapt. There were times where I knew what they wanted from me, but I didn't feel authentic. So either A, I should have told them I can't be your speaker, or I should have asked for some wiggle room, and I didn't. So after that presentation, I got feedback like speaker was too loud, speaker talked too fast, speaker was all over the place, speaker would not stay put. They'll have the microphone, it did not go well. So I apologized to the event coordinators. They told me that they thanked me for my apology, but they would not have me back. They have not called a brother in 9 or 10 years. So they've been consistent in their message. And I realized that was not their mistake. They were clear about what they wanted. I did not properly adapt. And till this day, that breaks my heart because I failed that audience. I failed that event coordinator. It made me a better speaker going forward, but I learned that it's important that we stay true to who we are. And if we can't deliver that, then don't do it.
Beautiful.
And I
love it. Love it. As you're telling that story, I'm feeling you 10 years ago. And what I learned when I had my similar experiences, every check can't be cashed. Every business is not your business. Like you said, staying true to yourself. And like you, I did it too, and it didn't work out. And now I turn that business down. I turn it down because I know I am a physical, aggressive storytelling presenter. If that's not what you want, then I know some more conservative, quiet, analytical speakers who will stay in their lane and stay behind the podium.
The account representative back then now had their own media planning event. And they had asked me back separate, and they said, Vincent, we have the perfect event just for you. Like, can I be loud? So it transitioned. So now I know the speakers that have gone through my Pro Speakers Kit program, but how to be a professional speaker. I know speakers that have that style that are better resonated. And they'll say, thank you for recommending Donnelly, or thank you for recommending Jasmine. They were the perfect speaker for us. And I'm thinking to them, you can't jump up and down. You can't be all over the place. And they're thinking, I didn't plan to in the first place.
Now, you know, brother, man, I've done my research. Dr. James. Behind me is a bobblehead of Allen Iverson, 76 a great. He had a wicked crossover. I learned that you got a wicked crossover too, because I stumbled upon some pictures of you marrying people. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. And please fill in the blanks. What's happening here? Are you an ordained minister? You marrying people? What's up?
This was the gentleman in this picture on the right is Clark Bridgman, and to the left is his bride, Lauren Bridgman. This young man at this picture is probably mid-20s, probably 6 or 7 years prior to that. He was a student in my class that just enjoyed my class, became one of my best interns, and he was maybe 19, 20 years old in class. He goes, if I ever get married, you're going to be the person married. I'm like, boy, if you don't get on my face, you're going to look like do it. And he ends up coming back and he said, Vincent, I would love for you to be the officiant in my wedding. And I had to go through a class, get a certification to make it legal. And that was my first wedding. And the people there said it was the funniest wedding. Like, funny wedding? That's a funny wedding. But they wrote their own vows. We kind of did this little practice. And that was an absolute honor for someone to ask me to be the officiant at their wedding. And then after that, somebody else says, do you do other people's weddings? I'm like, oh, I could. And it turned into another opportunity to bring value to people. And that was an honor.
Speaking of opportunities, how can people reach you if they want to bring you into their organization, to their conference, to their meeting planners, to their group, Rotary, you name it? How can they reach you?
They can go to my website at vincentphipps.com. On that website, there is a scheduling link to schedule a time to have a conversation with me. They can just email me directly at vincent@vincentphipps.com, or they can contact me directly at 423-400-1040. And they can also go to eventbrite.com and type in my name, or Pro Speakers Kit, or True Sales for any of my public events if they want to improve their public speaking or their presentation skills, or learn how to be a more successful professional speaker.
I love it. I love it. I would be remiss if I didn't mention your book. I know you mentioned it earlier. We have a video of you doing a book signing. People are just loving up on that VIP person. Let's take a look at the book signing.
And I was like, and she was like, remember that time?
I really enjoyed this presentation. I learned I had two leader styles. I thought I only had one.
Thank you, Joel.
Very enlightening. And every story fit every topic. I loved it.
I thought Professor Phipps' presentation was fantastic. I learned a lot about myself and a lot about the people around me.
What was the inspiration for the book, and how long of a process? And I asked because my first book took me 4 years to get done, but 1 year to write, because the first 3 years I was talking about writing a book, not putting my fingers on the keypad.
Like most things in my life, Dr. James, I thought I had a great idea, so I said it out loud, then it really wasn't that great because somebody else fixed it for me. I was so insecure about someone paying me a lot of money to speak that I felt like having a book would help validate me. So I took all of my degrees and kinesiology and all of the CSP, and I wanted to put it into a book, but I wanted the book to be more of a textbook. So I was trying to impress people, Dr. James. I'm using big words. I'm pulling back from all of my kinesiology days, and I'm talking about the impact of interpersonal communication and how those ramifications impact psychological behavior. I'm trying to impress the heck out of them. And I shared the rough draft with my editor, and my editor hated it. Now, my wife did not like the book either, but I'm thinking, my wife's not a speaker. She's not, what does she know? So my editor didn't like it. So now I'm thinking, I got two people who don't understand greatness. I was just clueless. Oh. And Dr. James, I got into an argument. This was over Skype. This is how long ago that was. I got into an argument with my editor because the editor was saying, you're choosing too fancy words. It's not clear. People who are doing this, they don't have your background. Break this down. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to dumb down my book. I want them to know a brother. And I got angry, and my editor hung up on me.
Wow.
Now, my wife says, I hung up on them. We ain't worry about details. My wife says, what would you do if one of your clients said that they're okay saying, if they drop their eye contact, if they fumble with their words? What if your client told you that they're not changing? What would you tell them? And I say, well, honey, I would tell them I'm an expert. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. Then she said, then you need to do the same for your editor.
Wow. Mic drop. Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. So about a year and a half later of tweaking and retweaking, we revised the book. And it's a very easy read. It's very simple. And we called it Lead Out Loud because my wife and all of my family and my clients, they consider me loud. But they said leadership, if you see it, you don't have to be a loud person. You have to be a detailed person. So when you lead out loud, you can't disguise kindness. You can't disguise leadership. You can't muffle confidence. So we call the book Lead Out Loud. So no matter who you are, black, white, red, or green, male, female, when your leadership shows, it's loud. So be proud of it. Don't lead quietly, lead out loud.
That is phenomenal, phenomenal. Time is getting away. I do want to put this one final picture. I love it. It's a shot of you now and a shot of you then. Let's take a look and tell me what you see. Tell me what you see.
Oh, boy, look at them cheeks. Boy, I tell you, boy, hey. Oh, I have a better barber now.
Wow.
That is crazy. What I see, Dr. James, is the evidence of here's what can happen when you surround yourself around people who believe in you. My mother, my family, they all said that as a child, I was always laughing. Even in that picture, you can see I was always happy. Now, I wasn't always happy. That's what they saw. So what I ended up realizing is that when you grow up, it doesn't always mean be mature. Because as your age escalates, What about your mind? Are you still the same person you were 5 years ago? If you are mentally, then you just wasted 5 intellectual years. So I want us all to make sure that we stay true to our core. If you are a blunt person, stay blunt. If you're friendly, be friendly. But you got to evolve and adapt. And that child in that picture was a naive knucklehead that was.
Let's put the picture back up there as you're talking. Let's put the picture back up.
That naive knucklehead was convinced. Right there. All the thing that walked there. I still got that same forehead. That's a shame, baby. That is a shame. I got 5 head. What ends up happening is, as we grow older, we need to be receptive of how to take criticism as a compliment. When someone says something negative, they may be mean-spirited, but as children, as young adults, as aspiring professionals, we don't know how to take all the good out of the critique and make it work for us. We make it personal and we don't improve. And one of the things that has been an element to my having a little bit of success in this industry is being able to take criticism more effectively. Because before, I didn't take criticism well. I was egotistical. I thought I knew it all. I liked what I did, and I found value in it. And I was so sensitive, Dr. James. Oh, man, hey, all I wanted to hear was you rock the mic. But you don't always rock the mic. And sometimes making a mistake can make you better if you learn from it. My father told me, you never get better when you're complimented. So some humility, having some flexibility, knowing that there's other leaders such as yourself, Dr. James, that we can all learn from. That child in that picture didn't know that then. And I'm so glad the man on the other side is still learning that now.
Wow. Wow. Now, as we get ready to close, this is one of my favorite parts of every show. As a speaker, I love speaking, and I ask all of our guests to close our show with a 30-second mini keynote. So think about the pearls you gave us today, the nuggets. Think about what you tell audience members. The year is just getting started. What nuggets, what ideas, what type of inspiration, motivation, direction do you have for our audience members? Again, 30 seconds, mic check, mic check, mic check. I want you to stand a little bit closer to your mic, your camera. The next voice you will hear will be that of Mr. VIP, Vincent Ivan Phipps.
As we go into the new year, there are 3 types of people to receive information from. The first type are those who have been there and done that, they're successful. Do what they say and follow it. The second type, they've been there, done that, and they failed. Listen to them too, they still have value. Then there's the third type that have not tried it, not done it. Be kind, but ignore what they say. They ain't been there, they ain't paid the cost. So make sure you know who to listen to, and you'll be successful, not just in the new year, but for the rest of your life.
Bam! Mic drop, mic drop. I told you folks, another informational and transformational experience on the Dr. James Show. Vincent Phipps, thank you for making the time all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
You too, baby.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you too for tuning us in. Again, we'll see you next time. Bring somebody with you. And like I always say, you've just been Gym-Packed. We'll see you next time.